Shalom. In this week's Sedra is Sedra Chukas. In order to teach Sedra Chukas, what I'd like to do is tell a story of Lenny. Lenny was a principal in northern Jerusalem, and he had made a decision which had resulted in the petition sitting in front of his desk. Lenny had decided not to rehire his star 7th grade teacher, Mrs. Groberg. Mrs. Groberg, an all-star, but Lenny felt that the school could really gain from having a younger, more vibrant teacher. This was a decision that he had made, and the petition signed by over 200 parents sitting in front of him protested that decision. Lenny wasn't exactly sure what to do. He decided to drive down to the kotel, sit, contemplate, study this week's Sedra. He felt that studying Torah, especially that week's Sedra, always allowed him to clear his mind and think and discover new options that he wasn't originally considering. Lenny read in this week's Sedra, and pardon me for reading, but he read that the entire congregation of the children of Israel arrived at the desert of Zin and settled in Kadesh. It was there, while Kadesh, that Miriam died, and they buried her there. This is obviously Moshe's sister, Miriam, the leader of the Jewish people. In his commentary on this verse, Rashi asked why the Torah had placed, and really God had placed, the story of Miriam dying and the laws of the red cow next to each other. Rashi taught a lesson that he teaches throughout his commentary, which is, just as the red cow atoned for Jews' sin, so too does the dying of the righteous. Lenny was puzzled by the mechanics of how it is exactly that the death of the righteous atone for the sins of the people. But Lenny read on, and he read the next verse. The next verse says that the congregation had no water, so they assembled and demonstrated and protested against Moshe and Aaron. In his commentary, Rashi connects the death of Miriam and the fact that there was no more water. And Rashi wrote that from here we learn that in all the 40 years that the Jews were in the desert, it was this well, this almost like a mystical well that provided water for the Jewish people, and it was in Miriam's merit that this well provided water. Now that Miriam was gone, the well no longer provided water. Lenny went looking for Rashi's original source of where he came up with this idea that it was in the merit of Miriam that the well provided water. In Masechet Tanit we read a fascinating debate. Rav Yochanan stated that rain may fall even for the sake of an individual, but sustenance, the lifeblood of us, is only divinely granted in the merit of many. Rav Yossi objected, and holding the position that sustenance might be divinely granted for the sake of the many, he held that it could be for the sake of an individual by stating the following. 3 good leaders arose from the Jewish people, Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam, and for their sake 3 good things were conferred upon the Jewish people, namely, the well, the pillar of cloud, and the mun. The well for the merit of Miriam, the pillar of cloud for the merit of Aaron, and the manna the merit of Moshe. When Miriam died, the well disappeared. This was clearly Rashi's source. Using Moshe as the proof, the Talmud concludes that sustenance may be divinely granted for the sake of individual, but that the case of Moshe was exceptional. For he prayed on behalf of the many, and he himself is considered as the multitude, as many people. The Talmud's conclusion is that sustenance is only divinely granted for the sake of individual when that individual plays the role of the many, when that individual cares for the many, as Moshe did and as Miriam and Aaron did. Lenny now understood how to put Rashi's statements together. Miriam was one of the few individuals on behalf of whom divine sustenance was granted to the many. Miriam's death provided atonement for the entire Jewish people because, like Moshe, she was an individual who prayed and cared and was concerned for the many. Without her, Bnei Israel were severely at a loss. Lenny realized that Miriam's tremendous importance to the Jewish people, and that importance was mirrored by his teacher, Mrs. Groberg, who he had decided not to rehire, and he understood how even just one teacher can make such a significant difference in people's lives. It's an important lesson for all of us to learn. Shabbat Shalom.